Francisco Goya, a Spanish painter, is a contemporary of Jacques-Louis David, the famous French painter. However, their styles are so very different, and Goya cannot be placed in any particular category. His work is not neoclassical, but neither is it necessarily romantic. Goya, more often than not, paints contemporary scenes, and they are imbued with all kinds of meaning. In the 3rd of May, painted in 1814 after the French had left Spain, but it's depicting an event that happened in 1808. This is a revolt against French imperialism, and it is full of emotion and meaning. At the center here, in full light, is a figure with his hands thrown up in the air, and he is flooded in light. This is a Christ-like figure, symbolizing martyrdom, a heroic figure standing in the center, facing a whole line of guards that's a firing squad. This is an unknown man. He is surrounded by other innocent people who are being executed, in which over 100 people were executed. And Goya depicts this with very thick paint, definitely not a neoclassical style, and he is using a dramatic light and dark. Although Goya was a great painter, he was also an amazing printmaker. This is one of his etchings and aquatints from a series called Los Caprichos, or the Caprices. In this piece called The Sleep of Reason, Goya is really embracing the more romantic idea and rejecting rationalism. In this series of Los Caprichos, the majority of the imagery, 80 prints in all, of aquatints and etchings, and they were published a year after he created them. These prints are an artistic experiment. This is something we have not seen before. It's a series basically making fun of the upper class and the universal follies and foolishness in the Spanish society in which he lived. There's a variety of criticisms he speaks against: superstition, the ignorance and inability of members of the ruling class, marital mistakes, and the decline of rationality. Some of the prints have anti-clerical themes. In this piece, we see this is entitled Ruega por ella, which basically means pray for her. It was custom to cut yourself and let blood to make yourself more pale as a woman. And in this piece, we have a very old woman in front of a mirror arranging her hat. And this is titled Hasta la muerte, or Until Death. This elderly woman gazes at herself in the mirror, but she doesn't see her wrinkles and her age. She is still trying to make herself beautiful. Goya himself described this series as depicting the innumerable foibles and follies to be found in any civilized society, and from the common prejudices and deceitful practices which custom, ignorance, or self-interest have made usual. Another series that Goya produced that was really for himself. It was never seen or publicized until Goya died, and it was made from a lot of drawings. And this one is called The Disasters of War, ranging in 1808 to 1813, a total of 82 etchings, and they are only seen after Goya's death. They're never published. These are hard to look at images. There are 3 different groups: 1 with victims and horrors that include common people, 2 famine and death that includes burial and effects of war, and 3 monsters. This one is entitled Y no hay remedio, which means and it cannot be helped. Most of these etchings are then followed by a numbed monotone of captions that kind of add to the horror and the drama. This one, entitled Tristes Presentimientos de lo que hay de acontecer, or Gloomy Premonitions of What Must Come to Pass. These drawings portray a private observer. There's no patronage. This is all freedom. These are all Goya's thoughts. And in this piece, it depicts a lone figure with his arms outstretched as if gazing to heaven, looking and praying for God's help. And he is depicted with this dark background behind him, with moving line and bathed in light. There is no glorification here. This is not romanticized. Goya is depicting the violence and misery of war.